Good morning, it's Sandra from One Life Holistics here. This week's theme is stress and anxiety, which is something I guess that we all experience at some point or another. Interestingly, just thinking about this theme over the weekend, I wasn't quite sure how to approach it. It's something, anxiety and depression has been something I've been dealing with since my teens. So I suppose it might have brought up a lot of triggers for me. But I thought, the only way of coping with that is being completely honest with you all about it. So, like when I was in my teens, I was diagnosed with endometriosis and polycystic ovary syndrome. And that caused an awful lot of pain, first of all. It took a long time to be diagnosed after several operations. And on the subject we're talking about, it caused an awful lot of anxiety and depression for me. I suppose, it's going back several years now, so there wasn't an awful lot known about endometriosis in particular at that time. And I found myself bouncing from doctor to doctor and people not understanding why I was as emotional, why I was as low. I was a young teenager. I should have been bouncing with life and energy, and that just wasn't happening. Anyway, moving on, I left Ireland for work and went to England when I was 18, going on 19. And I can see now the pattern of what happened with my health and with my anxiety levels. I didn't expect to leave Ireland. I don't regret it now, but at the time it caused an awful lot of anxiety. And all these things accumulated. My health definitely deteriorated. I ended up meeting a lovely partner and having to have lots of IVF treatments. And then eventually at 34, I had a total hysterectomy. So I would say in that period of time, definitely from around 16 until I had the total hysterectomy, were very challenging years when it came to stress and anxiety. And certainly being away from friends and family, attributed to that as well. But, I've moved on an awful lot since then. And I think we can all learn to recognize what our triggers are when it comes to stress and anxiety. And I now know that obviously hormones were one of my massive triggers, because having the total hysterectomy was one of the best things I could ever have done. And that's not to say that's not without problems in itself, but I can now manage my hormones. I can now control the stress and anxiety around my hormones because that has alleviated a lot of the pain. Certainly the lows aren't as low as they used to be, albeit they're not gone completely. But when it comes to stress and anxiety, I think a key thing is recognizing our triggers. And with regards to being away from home and in another country, a massive trigger obviously wasn't being near friends and family, but it was also recognizing that I was maybe trying to just cling on to people, to substitute people. And that's not always a good thing. With anxiety, you tend to just try and find situations that you can draw yourself into. And often these situations can create more anxiety. So stepping away from that. And a key thing was learning to say no. I think all of us find it so hard to say no. But when it came to social occasions and things like that I wasn't fit and able to go to, I eventually got the confidence to say no and go, actually, this doesn't serve me. So I needed to say no. Lack of confidence was a massive thing for me with the anxiety I had. That's taken me a lot of time to manage, but I found journaling has been a massive help in that I can write down what I'm feeling, and then you don't necessarily have to read it back, but it allowed me kind of highlight what was causing that lack of self-confidence and that social anxiety in the first place. And then, once you recognize it, I could start working on it. So journaling was definitely a big thing for me. In my 20s, I definitely drank too much alcohol, like a lot of us do, and I did fall back on it an awful lot when I was at my lowest. And of course, alcohol, it's a trigger for anxiety in the first place. So I had to cut out an awful lot of alcohol. I haven't cut it out of my life totally, but I don't use it to manage pain and depression. I now know when I'm in those kind of places, I don't go near alcohol because it just brings me lower. So I very much manage my intake of alcohol. And another crucial thing that I need to have, which I didn't get a lot of last night, unfortunately, but sleep. I find if I have 2 or 3 nights where I don't sleep well, you definitely recognize it in your mood, and it definitely triggers anxiety for all manner of reasons that we don't always associate with lack of sleep, but it definitely aggravates it. So I do have a lot of non-negotiable self-care patterns that I have to follow for myself. So one of them is getting to bed early, having a routine of getting up early, and I always try and do some breathing work. I always try and do some kind of a yoga. That it doesn't have to be movement. It could be just a gentle stretching when I get out of bed, or going for my walk is massive for me. Those that know me know that I love to go walking, and it's my space of clearing my head. You need to spend time with those that make you happy, not those that you feel obliged to, or those that just because you've known them a long time you feel you need to be with. But you need to spend time with people that make you happy. And that doesn't mean that you ignore the people that maybe bring you down, but you don't have to give all your energy to them. And especially when you're feeling low or stressed, the last thing you need is someone else who will almost encourage that depression and that anxiety. And I don't say that lightly. I don't use the word depression lightly, but I am speaking from my own experience. When it comes to hormones, you need to notice what will support your hormones, and whether that's taking supplements, that can be good enough for some people, whether that's seeing the doctor and seeing what is best for you, or maybe it's meditating, and maybe it's finding some kind of an inner work that you can work on yourself, which is what brought me to yoga in the first place, and what's brought me to doing meditation and now teaching that. I found that I needed to recognize more things inside myself to be then able to deal with what was going on in the bigger picture. So I hope I haven't rambled too long, but I just thought it was probably better to be a little bit personal, so I'm coming from a place of authenticity. I know what I'm talking about here, but we can all learn what ways work best for us when it comes to stress and anxiety. So recognizing your triggers is the key takeaway, I would say, from this. Recognize your triggers, and then see what you can notice from those triggers, how you can maybe amend them, whether that means saying no more often, maybe that means getting more help, externally, and then seeing what you can incorporate into your own life to help yourself manage your stress and anxiety. I, through my yoga practice, teach a lot of breathing techniques which are fantastic for helping alleviate anxiety and managing it. So if you feel you need to talk to me about it, then by all means contact me, please, at One Life Holistics or through the Health Hub, and I will offer you any help I can. The rest of the ladies will be offering their tips and advice for the rest of the week. But in the meantime, enjoy the sunshine, and have a great week. Take care, everyone. Bye.